Hi, everyone, and welcome to We Are a Crotchety Old Man,
And a woman.
the podcast with you, for you, and sometimes even about you. How are you doing today, Abigail?
I'm doing very well, Arden.
So we are going to start off with we have a bunch of little food, but we want to get right down. Do you know what day it is for International Food Day?
No, I do not.
Today is National Tortilla Chip, or as my mom likes to call them, tortilla chips. She would be like, "Can you please pass the tortilla chips?" Like she actually pronounces it. She can just say like the taco chips or that, but she has to say the tortilla chips.
But that is why she has so much charm.
That is why. It's not like she'll also say the Parisian Gulf instead of the Persian Gulf. But that's enough
Well,
about my
my
mom.
dad would say helicopter. He could not say helicopter. It was
Nice.
helocopter.
So we don't have any tortilla chips available, but because Abigail busted out some ribs tonight, so we are going to be taste testing. We have four sauces, correct?
Correct.
So could you describe what we have going on? So like with the ribs, they're plain. Do they have a rub on them? Like what's going on with them?
Yeah, the ribs did get a rub. Kansas City, I believe it was just barbecue rub, and along with something else. I don't remember, but I grilled them on a rack and in the on the grill, and they look pretty good. We've cut them up into small pieces so that we can do taste tests of four different barbecue sauces.
Okay, so what kind of sauces? What's the brand and the name of what is the four barbecue sauces?
Okay, one is going to be Sweet Baby Ray's original barbecue.
Okay, Sweet Baby Ray's.
And then one is going to be Food Lion's Sweet Brown Sugar barbecue sauce.
Nice. That was in my refrigerator today. That's why I grabbed it.
Another one is Slow Simmered Hickory Smoke by Kraft.
That one sounds good. Okay.
And then the special one, which is really expensive because I almost bought it, but my brother already had,
Nice.
is Capital City Mambo Sauce.
Mambo. Okay. I'm not going to do any kind of mambo jokes. So we have a couple toothpicks, and what are we going to do? We're going to just dunk it in one. Now, we don't know what is what. Abigail actually poured some into the sauces into different cups. So I'm putting a cup in front of her. It's kind of like a darker brown, and she's got a toothpick and she's dipping it in, and you got to big bite, almost fell off the toothpick. Okay, do you think you know what it is first? That's the tough question without saying it.
No.
Okay, so now I'm going to give you the next sauce since you're already eating, make life easier. Okay, this is a much lighter brown sauce. What we don't know what it is. We have underneath, we have it. So we got the next piece, and okay, she's not making any like grotesque faces or anything. Okay.
Okay, number one was better than number two.
Okay. All right. I'm bringing up the next one. This is the lightest looking sauce. It's red, not very brown. So I don't know. Wow, this is fascinating actually when you don't know what they are. Okay, what do you think? Okay, she's eating.
It's a little sweet.
Little sweet. Okay, so all right. And now we got the final one, which again is a darker brown. Not as dark as the first one. This one looks a little bit more like ketchup, if that makes sense, in my opinion.
I think it's a little more darker than ketchup, but
Right. So we're digging in here. All right. All right. She's
okay.
okay. So think about what you do, and now I will just try to go a little quick here. So let's see. I'm going with the first one. That was the darkest of all of them. Okay. All right.
And now you're going to try The
The
one that looks brownish yellow.
brownish yellow. Okay, I like that one actually.
Okay.
All right.
Now he's going for the more,
Trying to chew.
he's gonna go for the,
I'm looking for the smallest piece.
more,
It
I
looks
guess
almost watery.
translucent is what I would call it.
That is very sweet. If you don't like sweet barbecue, don't buy that.
No.
All right, last one. Going for the All right. That's kind of mild.
I know which one I like.
Okay, well, what's your favorite right now?
The first one.
The first one. Okay, that is my third favorite.
Okay.
So let's look at the first one. And that one was HS. That was the Kraft Hickory Smoke.
Yes.
Wow, look at that. Kraft beat the two expensive ones. All right. I went with my favorite was actually the last one I tried, which is what BR. Oh, look at that. That's the Sweet Baby Ray's. All right, so that was good. So which one did you not like the least?
Actually, the one that's kind of translucent.
This one. Okay.
Yeah, it was really sweet.
That is the Mambo, the Capital City mild Mambo sauce.
The most expensive one
Wow. Which leaves the brown sugar one
from Food Lion.
from Food Lion, you know, doing pretty good, coming in third place, winning the bronze medal. Nice. So that was good. So we also missed a very sad day in my world. Did you like Pop-Tarts growing up?
Of course.
I haven't had a Pop-Tart in a while. I mean, it's been a few years since I've had a good Pop-Tart. And the creator of Pop-Tarts died on Valentine's Day. Kind of sad. His name was Bill Post. Now, no relation to C.W. Post and Post cereals. I want to kind of get that figured out because
I was wondering about that.
yeah. So Bill Post. Now, the original Pop Tarts they came out in 1964, but they were not the first pastry that goes into a toaster. Believe it or not, the first were created by the Post brand, and they actually were called fruit scone. No, I'm sorry, not fruit scones. County squares or country squares. I can't even read my own handwriting. But they made the mistake of announcing it before they even had the product developed yet. So they did not have it boxed up. They were not on shelves. So Kellogg was able to jump in and come out with Pop Tarts before the Country Squares. Now, in 1965, the Country Squares changed their name to try to be like Pop Tarts and called them the Toastum Pop Ups. But they didn't really do very well, as I don't think you've had a Toastum Pop Ups anytime soon. And also, did you know that Kellogg's changed their name?
No.
They're now called the Kellanova. Yeah, I'm like very surprised by that. So that was interesting today to learn that Kellogg's actually changed their name. I did not know that at all. So so Bill Post died. So we're actually going to have a Pop Tart as well. Like that's why we're not having our tortilla chips. We're going to have a Pop Tart. So tell me about your Pop Tart. What's your go-to? Have you tried some of the newer ones?
Well, as a child, I did eat a lot of the chocolate ones.
Oh, really?
But as an adult, I'm all about strawberry frosted
Okay.
and raw,
Raw, not cooked.
not cooked.
Okay.
And the other thing I do, because I just want the pure sugar,
Okay.
is I actually take off the edges, the outer edges that do
Oh,
not
wow.
have the frosting, so that when I bite into it, it's purely the jelly and
And the frosting.
and the icing frosting.
Nice.
Makes for a much pleasurable experience, in my opinion.
So I'm totally the opposite. Well, now what's your favorite flavor?
Strawberry.
Strawberry. Okay. So I actually do not prefer the icing. I actually also like them raw. I mean, I like them hot, but you always burn yourself. Like you have to have something pop them up. Like nowadays, it's pretty easy because like a toaster, you actually can push the little lever up and it pops them out a little bit further. Well, my mom had like a really old one, So you had to use like a pair of wooden tongs to get in there and blow them off because it was so dangerous.
As long as they were wooden, I guess you're okay.
Yeah, she did have the wooden ones. But I go with blueberry. That's my favorite. And when I was in the store today, they said they had over 33 different flavors, including Oreo, like Oreo, okay. And then they kind of changed with like there's the strawberry is a classic. So they have like strawberry with and without frosting, blueberry with or without. But I saw their chocolate ones. They had uh, they had a lot of different flavors that I never would have thought of. Like what's the famous thing that you have? S'mores that you have going camping. They have s'mores flavor.
I think that's a stretch.
They had a lot of supposedly like the maple syrup ones, like the maple ones are really good. So I was just kind of surprised, but so we actually have a couple. Did you take a bite already?
I did
Oh my God.
because I couldn't wait. But as Arden can see, I did rip off the exterior of the Pop Tart.
Nice. So I am looking at, wow, they look a lot smaller. I mean, I haven't had a Pop Tart in years, so let me try. Um,
It's got to be dry without the frosting.
it is dry, but I kind of like the aftertaste, if that makes sense. In fact, what I'm very weird, I like to nibble the outer crust first.
See, I avoid it.
It's kind of like, I don't know, it's like not getting to the best part first. I savor it. So that was actually really good. So thank you for listening. So we just did our recap with our, you like the Sweet Babies. I like the Sweet Babies Rays, and you like the Hickory Smoke from
Food line.
Food Lion. Wow, so that was good. The ribs actually tasted really good. So thank you for doing that. We know we got an email from my brother. He said, "Yeah, you guys got to speed up your eating and not make a meal out of it." So we also wanted to focus because there's a lot in the news, but we always start with today and this day in history. This is our I like this new segment. And today Andrew Johnson in 1868 was the first president ever impeached. He replaced President Lincoln, who was assassinated, and he was sworn in. And believe it or not, it was the Republicans who got rid of him. And there was pretty large margin of vote, and so he was the first president ever to be impeached. But we also missed a very historic day yesterday. Do you know what yesterday was? Which is very, not really historic, but the imagery is historic.
I do because I looked it up myself. It was the raising of the flag at Iwo Jima, one of the finest moments in American history.
And it became such a national picture that actually should not have happened, believe it or not. Do you even know the whole story about it?
No, I do not, Arden.
So it was actually the second flag raised on Iwo Jima. The first flag was very small, and the general actually, when the battle was over, and they wanted to be so proud of this moment that the general ordered a second flag to go up so everyone could see it in all of the ships. So he got these guys out, and the photographer, Joe Rosenthal, was trying to get his pictures taken. So he was taking pictures very, very fast of the raising of the flag. And he sent them all in, including this picture, but this was not his main picture. He didn't even realize he took it. And they just were astounded by it. That it was actually went back to the base, and so he didn't even know what picture was actually chosen. And then you find out like later that most of the guys who actually raised the flag were killed in action. There's a great movie called Flags of Our Fathers. Great movie if anyone wants to see it, just about like the survivors and what they went through, and because the battle wasn't over, they just took one part of Mount. They took the Mount Suribachi. That's all they did, but they still had to fight and take the rest of the mountain. There was just one point. So, and just a fascinating history of the raising of the flag. The U.S. Marine Corps now has a giant sculpture in front of their location, so you could see that if you're ever in Washington D.C. And I've seen it once. It was pretty big,
Yeah,
and it's really
it's
cool.
very impressive.
And today is we actually have some breaking news as Abigail has had. She has her phone open right now. That we have an announcement in the South Carolina primary. So, what's going on in South Carolina?
Well, I mean, the headline came through that Trump won as predicted,
Okay.
but by how much? I didn't get a chance to look that up.
Oh, yeah. So President Trump did. Look at that. We're like a real news bureau right now. We know what's going on. And that. So with that, we had also what's going on is you said that there was a moon landing, a
I
moon
heard
landing.
a little bit about it. I haven't seen any footage.
So another fascinating bit about that. So it's the first private moon lander to go up. The everything else, so NASA I think pays for part of it, but it's working with SpaceX, and it landed. But today there was a problem, or yesterday, where one of the legs broke and it's now on its side.
Hmm.
But the guy who, the owner, actually, the CEO said, "Oh yeah, it's still operational and can do a lot of the functionality needed." So I think he's in trouble. But the Japanese lunar lander landed upside down, so that didn't work. England, their lander, I don't even think made it to the moon. The last one that made it was India.
So was this like a contest, like kids play with little boats in the water?
Uh,
Like who could do it on the same day?
well, no, no, it's just every country wants part of the moon. I still believe, this is me, I'm not 100% sure, that we might be the only country to actually have people on the moon. But whoever gets up there can start mining for any kind of resources up there. And this was actually in the South Pole. And the reason there is actually ice crystals there, and where they believe could actually be water. So if they ever want to, they could have astronauts fly there pretty quickly. Oh, another thing that I did not mention, I got so into me talking about Donald Trump winning that distracted me. I also learned something today that I never knew. Speaking of Trump, that if Trump somehow becomes the president, he would not be the first president to have non-consecutive terms.
Hmm.
I did not know it. Grover Cleveland was the 22nd and 24th president. I never knew that. I thought this whole time that everyone has been consecutive terms or things like that, but he would be the second one.
Well, that was a long time ago, Arden. I don't think anybody expects you to know that.
I consider myself a history buff, so I'm embarrassed that I did not know that. And another embarrassment that happened, it is Black History Month, and I was watching the MLB network, and they had a whole special on Larry Doby. Do you know who Larry Doby is?
No.
Larry Doby was the second Black Major League Baseball player after Jackie Robinson, but he gets really no press, and it's just a unique story because he came up in 1947. He came up 3 months after Jackie Robinson, but he didn't have to fight all of the injustice, I guess is the right word, that Robinson did. Robinson like broke the ceiling, and he was the second. He was the first in the American League. And he, 1 year later, in 1948, the Cleveland Indians beat the Boston Braves. Kind of interesting. The Indians beat the Braves in the World
Not
Series.
today.
Not today. Now we have the Guardians versus the Atlanta Braves. And one of the greatest Negro League pitchers and was on the Indians as well, Satchel Paige. No one knows how old he was. They think he was listed as like 53 years old, but he could easily be in his 60s, and he was
Hmm.
pitching. They had no age for him. But what made it amazing is uh, he, Larry Doby would have been 100 years old this year, and he was given the Congressional Gold Medal. It's the highest medal a citizen can get from the Congress. Um,
For athletics?
no, just in general.
Huh.
And he got a Congressional Gold Medal, and on it, it's there's two medals. One is on one side, it's his face, and on the other side, it's him hugging a man who was the starting pitcher and his name was Steve Gromek, Gromek, and Steve Gromek, and they're hugging each other, and they're laughing, and they're celebrating their World Series win, and it's the first picture ever published of a white man and a black man celebrating in pure joy. And it went all over the world. We would call it trending now. And it was just absolutely phenomenal that he did it. Larry Doby was embraced by a lot of players on the team, including their superstars like Bob Lemon, who was one of the greatest pitchers. And they embraced him. So he didn't have the strife that Jackie Robinson had, but he wasn't an amazing player. He was a very good player. He was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1998. So years and years later, he was also the second black manager ever. Little fascinating.
That is.
Yeah, so second black player, second black manager, and the first black manager was Frank Robinson, just in case you needed to know that.
For what team?
The Cleveland Indians,
Ah.
where he also played. He was a designated hitter and manager.
Neat.
Yeah, so that was pretty much, I think, all I had as far as history is concerned. So we have the primary that happened. So what did you want to talk about today?
Well, we didn't get a chance to go over it yet last week, but this Fanny lady from Georgia, she had some pretty, I guess we'll call it remarkable comments or statements on the stand this past week. It's actually been a little over a week.
Right.
And I unfortunately, or maybe fortunately, didn't get to listen to all the testimony. But from what I saw enough.
I did watch way too much of it because it was on like right when I got home from work. Now, I got to ask you, was her blouse / shirt, was that inside out? It had like a zip, not inside out.
The media have built that up that she had it backwards and that the dress should have been zipped from the back, but it was clearly zipped in the front.
Right.
And I'm on the fence because the way a dress is cut, I think it would have looked really flat if she had made that mistake. So I think that was the case of the press running with something that is not, I just don't know that she did that.
Right. But
my opinion.
I mean, just the amazing part was she wasn't even supposed to testify. Like her boyfriend was on the stand. As soon as he stood up, she was already like in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm.
Because according to her, she was told he was done. Like I think she actually watched like what was going on, and she wanted to correct it or whatever. But just fascinating. And now like all this, and now that there's another part that came out. I don't know if it was yesterday or today, where the lawyer in the boyfriend's divorce hearing has said that he wasn't involved with Fanny for that long. And they now have information that was provided, but they don't know if it could be used in this case because it could be sealed. And it supposedly he had over 20,000 texts and phone calls to Fannie Willis ahead of time.
20,000.
20,000.
So you and I have been dating since November of 22.
Right. We probably have like 20,000.
I don't know that we have 20,000. That's a pretty remarkable number.
I mean, with jokes and memes and things, I think we are actually up there. I mean, I can't go a day without sending a silly meme, like 50 of them about cats and dogs and everything else. So, what else is going on in the news? It's just been overwhelming of what's happened. We had,
Well, let's talk about Fanny a little more. I
Are you
mean,
sure?
she sounded like a total idiot. I mean, she's the freaking DA, isn't she?
Yeah, and I mean, now I keep getting her confused with the lady in New York as well.
Latia or something.
Yeah, I keep getting them confused just because there's just so many cases. But it's just crazy how like everything is going to go to appeal.
Right.
So, oh, I know what I wanted to say, but we'll finish off on Fanny and the other lady in New York. But in New York, did you see like they had to have Trump has to get together all of this money? It's like 416 million
Million.
dollars, and he has to have it in 30 days.
Right.
And and he can't get any loans from banks that he actually dealt with in this. But the weird part was that to get his appeal, it could be up to 10 years to get it. And he has to pay $19 million in fees to get to an appeal.
That is
Yeah,
outrageous.
just imagine paying 19 million to hopefully get your money back. Hopefully for him. But I mean, yikes, that's unbelievable. And you know what else is unbelievable that was going on this morning?
What?
Did you see the balloon? Yeah.
No.
Okay. So in Colorado, another balloon was sighted flying around. But and of course, the White House gave very little information about this balloon flying over Colorado. But when I arrived here, I actually found out it was shot down pretty quickly. So it didn't cross the entire United States. And they didn't say where it came from, so I'm not going to blame China for this one right off the bat. But once again, another balloon flying around, and the military has to shoot it down this time.
Right. And then AT&T went down, but they've come out and said it was not a cyber attack. It was an internal mistake.
An internal mistake. What that was insane. People like if you just a bit like well 911 didn't happen, like I don't know. I had no problem. Did you have any problems with it?
No, I have Verizon.
Yeah, I was just amazed. Like so 911 went down. I mean, it just shows like we're so strapped to our phones that if something happens, there's nothing you can do. And I had the exact opposite happen the other day. I was getting doing some financial statements, and I was actually looking for one. And I'm like, I wonder why this company has never contacted me. The phone number they had was my old landline. It was my old landline and my old address, and they didn't even have a email for me. So luckily I called, but to fix everything takes 15 days to update my information. But I was like, really? Like you had my landline. That's kind of scary. But today we have the exact opposite where they have their where your cell phone is gone so quickly. And with digital currency and everything, I'm nervous as hell. I am really crotchety as far as
Arden,
this is.
Arden, all I know is I'm glad you're looking into this because, to find out they only have a landline down for you is pretty bad.
That is bad. Now here's another scary part. All right, I'm getting scary. So in my apartment, they have these little tiny monitors. Now, and we have like a smart apartment. Not a fan of the smart apartment, by the way. They have, I mean, do you remember the Glade like stick ups? They were the brown things you put them like in your toilet and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So I got like six of them all over my apartment. And they're supposed to be, they measure humidity, they measure all of the stuff in the house. But they also work with my door. I know I have an electronic lock, there is no actual key for it. If anything happens to that lock, if the power goes out, or it has a battery power, but if anything happens, like an EM pulse, I can't get out, I can't get in to my apartment.
That is a little dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, if it had a key possibility, kind of like,
How hard would it have been for them to add a key?
right at the bottom, just a little keyhole, sort of like with a car, you press the button to lock and close the door. You still have that little tiny key. I've had to use it a couple times, like for the key fob, when the battery died. So my mom calls me as I'm driving here, and for her house, they want to have new and update their meters to read how much energy you're using. The old days where the meter reader would come to the house, knock on the door, and walk down to the basement and walk out, and then there was the one outside. Well, now it's going to measure a lot of other findings, and it's like, oh, no big deal. We don't, we're not going to take it and sell it to people. We're not going to, we know what you're doing. We don't wear all of, so they're going to put these little meters all over the house. And she's like, I don't want to do it. I mean, it's a little scary, I don't know. It's invading my. I think I've talked to my mom too much and scared her. Like I did tell her that smart TVs actually do listen, and Alexa does listen to what you're saying. So I think I scared her because now she thinks the Chinese are going to like monitor her electrical usage. I mean, like, yeah, they're going to get me. they're, they're after me, My mom, of course, would say something completely racial by mistake because she's the best at that. Did your dad ever do that? Like, I mean, we are so politically correct now, which is now it went from politically correct to woke. My mom is in the politically incorrect category, and I love it.
Well, it's like me and my sister like to say, my dad had no couth, no filters,
no filter.
nothing.
Yeah, I love it. I can't wait to be in my 80s just for that reason. But yeah. So anything else going on for you?
Yeah, you took away from my sports segment.
Oh my God.
Quickly.
It's never too late for sports.
All right. So I read this a few days ago, and it's only getting worse. Major League Baseball and their jerseys. They've got a new contract with Fanatics or Fanatics.
Fanatics.
And it's through Nike. So they're coming out with a new jersey that is more of a lightweight fiber. But get this, instead of having sewn, stitched names and numbers, they are actually going to be iron-on decals.
That's horrible.
It's really horrible, and I've seen some examples where the numbers aren't even. The players are complaining. They're cheap. But the commissioner is pretty firm and is saying tough. But on top of that, yesterday I read the pants.
Okay.
They're not being custom fitted for the players anymore.
Okay.
And to top it off, they're see-through.
So you're now going to be watching every game.
I didn't say that, Arden. All I'm saying is this is Major League Baseball. To see them downgrade like this, I don't care what the technology is.
It's so
that
bad.
Uniform means a lot. And what's going to happen is they're now going to sell $150 or $200 jerseys that are basically decal press-on jerseys to the public. And it's just outrageous.
Were you a baseball fan like in the 70s?
No, I was born in 1971.
Okay, hey, you're only a little bit younger than me. Well, I was a huge fan, like when they had the polyester uniforms, and like the Houston Astros had theirs, and the Philadelphia Phillies had a one that they only wore one time until recently. But the Chicago White Sox played a game in shorts in the 70s. And I think Larry Doby might have been the manager. I think that was in 1978. They wore shorts.
Everything comes full circle.
It does. We do try. So with that, I'd just like to say we are a crotchety old man.
And a woman.
And I'm really glad that you're here as Abigail is eating another one of her Pop-Tarts, which is pretty funny. And yeah, so I can't get my music playing, so we're just going to have to instrumental it out, I guess. So remember the old song?
No, I tried to forget it.
Oh, well, we would have to sing it differently now because it would be like, we are a crotchety old man and a woman. We are a crotchety old man and a woman. Yeah, we're trying, people. So anyway, we'll be with you next week, and there'll probably be a lot of news next week as well. Thanks, and have a great day.
Good night.